Hello, and welcome to Excel Highway, your one-stop shop for all your Excel and Google Sheets needs. In today's video, I want to share with you a team resource planning template I created in Google Sheets. This is a very quick, easy, and effective little file that I created that you can use to basically understand your team's capacity and how you can support different projects. It is very simple, but you can see that you can really get a lot from it. So let's deep dive into how this is built. The file has two sheets, one called schedule, which is the main sheet, and one called team, which is the second sheet. The sheet called team, as you can see, is very simple. You have a column for department. Okay, what department? In this case, I'm using an example from a software development team that has a backend, front-end, quality, database, and product departments, and the name of the employee that works in each department. Then I have a series of months. Okay, I'm starting for September next month. And for each combination of month and name or employee, I have the percentages. How much will that person be available during that month? And I'm using eDate to add another month to the column. So if I change this to, let's say, October, I will get October through September. And of course, I can add more months if I want. Very simple. So that's very simple. And the formulas here are numbers. And you notice that the order of the departments is not critical, although I do recommend that you work in the same order. So you have all your backend developers, all your front end, but I just wanted to show you that it works anyway. So I do recommend that you sort this. That's the team setup that you must prepare. And once you do that, you're good to go. The schedule sheet, there are three manually entered columns: the project name, the department, and the required. So basically project, you can set up whatever you want. To continue with my software development team's method or idea, right? So I have a new app, migrating data, a new project, whatever. Departments, these are drop-down lists. It's important to have drop-down lists, so they have to be synced with a department. This is very easy to create. You click on a cell, click on data, data validation, and I'll just remove this just to show you how I do it. Just a second. Let's remove this one and click on add rule. And I will select here drop down from a range. You can see there's a lot of options. I'm going to click that again, select the range, and I'm going to select starting from A2, drag it just a bit, and then remove the last digit. That's going to take it all the way down to the last row that's available. Then in the schedule, I'm going to add all the way to column B. And the last thing I like to do is in advanced options, I like to change this to arrow so it doesn't stand out. And that's it, you're done. If you add another department here, it will immediately appear. So that's why it's important to use a drop down, and you'll see in a second why it's very important to use drop down. Required is the number that you want, how many people. And then you have the booked, which is a summary of that specific row. So it's whatever people you have scheduled for the backend position for the new app. You need 200 or 200%, and you schedule 200, just the combination here. If I add another 25%, then you would see it. You'll notice that there's a yellow color whenever you have not scheduled enough people. So you only scheduled 75%, you needed 100%. How does that yellow color pop up? Very easily. You go to conditional formatting, format, conditional formatting, this one. And you can see that I have set it up for D5 through D9. Basically, I can do it like this. That's also okay. And the format, instead of before we saw range, but now I want to use less than. So less than and C5. And because we don't have dollar signs, it remembers to change as you move through the rows. So very simple. So that's how you create the conditional formatting over here. I can show you, see for each row here, it shows the same conditioning. Moving on. So here there's numbers, but you can also see that there's a conditional formatting. You have a gray cell, which basically means this is not a row that matches the department. So this is a row for the front-end developers, and this column is for Emily Gibson, and she's a back-end developer. So I don't want to make a mistake and put any numbers here. I can. It's not going to block me, but it just shows you that, okay, I don't have any reason to be over here. I need to go over here and schedule them because it shows me. And this is where, for example, in the backend team, that's why I recommend that you do basically put everyone in the same area, because you can see I have backend, 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 then front end, and then backend again. So that can be confusing. It's not a big deal, but I think it would be easier for you to just sort of build this in a way like this. Let me show you. You can also do that at the end. I like to use filter and just sort and remove the filter. And now the white areas will be in the same area. What did change, you saw, is that it doesn't change my previous scheduling. So just make sure that works, that you do change it afterwards. So let me just show you how I quickly schedule people. Let's say 50%, 50%, and I don't need any money from quality. So I already see that I have a problem with the database department because I fully booked the database people that I have, and that's not enough for what I need. So that's something to handle. And I also see that these people are overbooked. We'll see that in a second. But anyway, this is how you just very easily, very simply schedule people to work in a specific month on a specific project. Of course, you could have the same person you see working on two different projects. It's not a problem. How is this this part built? So first of all, we have this part that shows you all the people. Very simple function called transpose. Transpose will take, and you see it's from A2 through B without a number. That's going to take this entire area, and basically just like you do it manually, if I just copied and then pasted, that's what transpose as a function does. So it's dynamic. So you saw when I sorted, changed the order, it did it automatically here. That's why it's very nice. So those two rows are automatically built, and if you accidentally put anything here in the cell, you see it's going to mess up everything. So that's always going to be a reminder for, okay, wait a minute, I did something I'm not supposed to. The available, I'm going to use index and match. Index match, if you're not familiar, it's basically a combination that looks for the specific row, in this case in column B, and the specific column, in this case in row number 1. It's a very powerful function I recommend you learn how to use. How is it built? Let me show you. So you start off with index. Let's do it over here because it's giving me a help, because it already knows what I want to do. So first of all, index will return a cell from a combination of row and column for a reference, for a range. So for the range, I'm going to select, and you got to start from the column that you're looking for the row, and for the row where the columns exist. So this could be something like this. It should be bigger than what you currently have, because if you add columns or rows, you don't want it to not work. So, and I use the dollar sign, so you see I got double dollars for all of that. Next is the row. So this is going to be on which row I want to return. So basically the name. I'm going to use match. Match is going to return me a number. That's where it's finding this name or this entity. So I'm going to look. First of all, I'm just putting a number 1, just because I'm going to fix that later in a second. Then I'm going to select. I can select the entire column, or it could be 1, B1 through B20, whatever. It's going to work. And comma 0, because I want the search type can be approximate or you see it can be optional. It's 0 is the exact and 1 is the closest one unsorted. So I always want to use 0 because I want the exact value. Second match, I want the date or the month. So I'm going to again use 1. I'll change that in a second. I'm going to select this time. I can't use the entire row because I started in the second column. Go ahead and click on that $sign and 0 and close it. Next up, what I usually do, I change this. I can either remove. It's not going to work, I think. So I'll just go ahead and put 999 and also just put 1 and 999. And we can do ZZ and ZZ. Sorry. So this is way the range of the table is very big, so no issues. Right now I'm getting an NA, but what I want to do is, first of all, what is the name? So I'm going to change from 1 to an actual person, so E2, for example. And in this specific case, I want to put a $sign for the second row. So as I move down, I want to remain with that person. As I scroll to the right with the formula, I want to switch names. The second match, that's going to be the month name. That's going to be over here in D2. And notice you have to delete that one. And here I want a $, because that's never going to move. And you see I get the number 50%. This is exactly the formula over here. And I just drag it so the name changes, but the month doesn't. And that's how you get the available time. The book time is the sum below it. And also here you can see a conditional formatting in red whenever the value is greater than E3, and I created it for E4 and then changed the reference, and it of course worked for the other ones. Last thing over here is the months, and you see it's a drop-down selection. This is also a drop-down selection with data validation, because I don't want somebody to enter just some date that doesn't exist over here, and then I won't know what is the available time, and everything will be messed up. I won't have the available, and everything will look very bad. So use drop-down lists to maintain or limit user errors. So that's it, very simple. Create your team, create your capacity, set up your projects, and move. Whenever you move between the months, everything will change except for whatever you scheduled, which is manually. Because this is a working file, so it's not something that's supposed to just show you the results. You can, of course, create those kinds of things. It's not what I was looking for. I wanted to create something that's very simple for people to just go ahead and create. So I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, hit that like. That really helps. And I'll see you next time. Take care.